Well, hello again sports fans. I'm afraid this is another search video where I'm using the Venture to try and find a lost model. It's also a test of some recent changes I've made to the Venture. Over the last couple of months it seems to have developed the nasty habit of flying off in its own direction and running into trees and things, so I haven't been very happy with it. I've captured some of these flyways on video, but there's been others where it's just gone out of control and I've managed to land it before it actually went too far away and got into trouble. It uses a NASA M Lite flight controller, which I've recalibrated on multiple occasions, and it just hasn't helped at all. I've even installed an aftermarket GPS compass unit which uses a later chipset than came with the NASA, and while it's much better at picking up satellites now, it didn't improve the flyaway problem. So I ended up reflashing the controller with unauthorised NASA V2 firmware that I downloaded from the internet. It seems to have not only fixed the problems but improved the general performance of the Venture overall. So I thought I'd test it out by having one more look for Struan's lost scanner aeroplane. Witnesses report that it went straight down behind the tree line on a line between these two dark trees. I've already flown several unsuccessful search missions, but I think I've been slightly away from that line, so the plan for today is to take a bearing between those two trees and fly a straight line out with the camera pointing down and see what I can see. So I fly out to the tree line up between the two trees and set a course. So the yellow ellipse marks the area that I've searched mainly so far, and this line shows that the actual course is more to the right near that dam in the distance. Unfortunately, I've added something called moon gel to my camera mount in the hope that it would reduce the vibration of the down pointing Mobius camera, but it seems to be having the opposite effect. It's annoying but not the end of the world, so I point it down at the ground and switch to the forward facing camera so I can fly the course. It's a pretty windy day, but I'm pretty happy with the way that the new improved Venture is handling it. I feel more in control than I ever did with the previous software, and I'm quite comfortable flying closer to the trees than I normally would. I'm not expecting to find anything this close to the creek because I've pretty well covered that in previous searches. The track to the dam is much more open ground, so if there's anything there I shouldn't have any trouble spotting it at all, even from the forward facing camera. So I fly over the dam and try and extend the line of the course straight ahead till I cross the creek again and head out into the adjacent paddock. I've previously had a fair look around on this side of the paddock, so I don't bother going out too far on this trip, probably 40 or 50 metres. I'll lose the video momentarily when I turn around, which is something I've come to expect when I'm down low, because the antenna's facing down on the back of the quadcopter. It gets blocked by the battery when I'm do a 180 degree turn. Just gaining a few extra metres of height usually sorts it out though. So I decided to go back along a slightly different line, a little bit closer to the back end of the tree line alongside the creek. I'm taking things pretty slowly because one, I think it's going to help with any analysis of the video, and two, I'm still nervous because this is around about the time when I've been experiencing the previous flyaways. But At the moment, the Venture's behaving itself perfectly well. I'm not having any trouble getting it to go where I want it to go, which hopefully continues to be the case. I do experience some odd behaviour here where I'm actually trying to vary the line I'm flying just a little bit, but it seems to want to maintain the straight course it's going on. So it may just be a variation in the new firmware that I've just got to get used to. It's something I'll have to test out in the future, but it's showing no signs of flying off on its own. It's just fighting the changing course. I'm in GPS mode and tempted to switch it to attitude mode to see if that helps, but then I look at the big patch of blackberry I'm over and think, no, I really don't want to twiddle the knobs at this stage. So I just persist, and it eventually comes good and accepts the new course. So as I said, I just need a bit more practice to see how the new firmware is supposed to behave. So once I'm clear of the creek, I bring her straight home without any trouble at all and land it. Given the number of flyaways I've had before and the amount of wind that's blowing today, I'm pretty impressed with the way she's behaved, but only time will tell if the fix is permanent, but at the moment it's all looking pretty good. On the downside, I've gone through the wobbly footage that the Mobius was able to capture and haven't seen a sign of the scanner on it, so the mission was a failure from that perspective. But if anybody out there does manage to spot anything, please let me know. It'd be nice to know where this thing's disappeared.